Welcome to Monster Hunter World, the board game, designed by Jamie Perkins and published by Steamforge Games. If you like what you see here, make sure you give Steamforge Games your support. This game has been releasing to Kickstarter backers over the past month or so, and should be released in retail at the end of this year. And their upcoming standalone expansion, Monster Hunter World Iceborne, drops on Kickstarter in just a few weeks, so be sure to check it out. I'm not going to be here giving you a full overview of how to play the game, mainly just an overview of how to use our mod. If you want to, the rulebook for the game is right over here, so you can read through this if you wish to learn how to play. But I'll be walking you through how this mod is set up so I can get you up and running as soon as possible. So step one is to choose a player color and then choose a hunter. So go ahead and choose change your color, and you can sit at one of the 4 playmats designated here. I'll go ahead and choose green for this example. And then you can come to the back of the board here, and we have all 14 weapons displayed on these pedestals here. And all you need to do is hover your cursor over a weapon pedestal, and you'll see a little red button icon pops up, and you can see it'll say select bow or select intersect glaive. So if I click on one of these, it will go ahead and set up my player area with our stamina board, our starting attack deck, our starting damage deck, your starting gear, and your starting weapon card, and any other cards pertinent to your specific weapon. For example, the insect glaive here has a little small deck of Kinsect cards that I'll use, as well as a special rules card that you can take a look at. So to get started, you can flip your starting deck over, flip your damage deck over, give them a quick shuffle, and you can get ready to play very shortly. Also on your playmat, we have your Forge reference card, so you can see what weapons and armor you can upgrade to over the course of the game. This has 3 states to it, so by right-clicking and hitting state, I can choose different states to this. You can also use the number keys across the top of your keyboard, so I can just hit 1, 2, or 3 to see the upgrades I can get from the expansion monsters, from the Wildspire Waste, and from the Ancient Forest. And by hitting F to flip it over, we have all the armor sets you can craft from all the various monsters. Right beside your Forge sheet, we have the chest full of forgeable weapons. So these are all the weapons that you see here referenced on the Forge sheet. So if you want, you can pull one of these out. So this will tell you how to build your new damage deck, and will instruct you on which cards you need to swap out of your starting deck. And these weapons also do include the cards you need to swap out. So it makes it pretty quick to, go through your deck. You can search your deck for whatever cards you need to pull out and drag them out and put your new cards in there, and you're good to go. If you need to build a new damage deck, which you can see down here at the bottom, it needs 2 copies of damage 1, 6 copies of damage 2, and 4 copies of damage 3. So you can scroll up here to the Forge area, and we have damage card decks for you to pull from. And so all I need to do is hit 2 over that, 6 over that, and 4 over that. And now I have a hand full of my new damage deck. And I can select those, hit G to group them up, pick them up, flip them over. Let me just go ahead and delete my old damage deck, put this one in its place. And now we have our new card. If you want to play as a different hunter, you can go back to the weapon select area and choose a new hunter. You can just go ahead and click on a new character, and it will swap it out with a new character. If for whatever reason anything was left behind from the old character, you feel free to delete that. We also have over here, which I'll explain later, but we have a pedestal here for you to return weapons. So if you click on this pedestal, it'll effectively wipe your player area clean, and you can start fresh with a new hunter. So if I look at the Greatsword Hunter here, once again, he's got all his starting equipment. And I will draw your attention to the miniature. Right now we have photogrammetry scans of the minis that come with the physical game. But we also, in some cases, have optional models that you can choose from. So as I hover over this, you can see he has 5 different states. So again, if I hit 2, you can see another version of the mini we can use. And in some cases, we're able to pull models straight from some of the video games. So you can choose your mini, and you can get ready to play. Your health dial here is also done with states. So for example, if I take 6 damage and go down to 2 health, I can just hit the number 2, and that will then show me how much health I have remaining. So also for this example game, I'll go ahead and add in a second player. So let me just go ahead and sit over in the purple seat, and let's grab, let's say for example, the bow player. So I'll click on bow, and again, our hunter will be set up, ready to go. I can flip their decks, shuffle them up. And again, we have multiple versions of the bow player, so I'll use this Mizutsune model for the bow. And you can go ahead and draw a starting hand of 5 cards if you wish. So again, for green, I'll go ahead and get his deck, flip it, shuffle, shuffle, and hit 5 to draw 5 cards in my starting hand. So each player has their hand of 5 cards, and they're almost ready to go. The last thing we need are the hunter tokens themselves to manage your threat. We have the hunter tokens here, so at the moment, you can just take however many tokens you need, give this bag a shuffle, and then just go ahead and randomly deal out the hunter tokens. There is a little snap point in your player board, so it's easy to slot your threat token into the player area. Now it's time to choose a monster to fight. Up here in the upper corner of the map, we have quest cards for all of the different monsters you're able to fight in this game. And they are kind of broken up by their boxed set. So we have the Ancient Forest here with all the Ancient Forest monsters, the Wildspire Waste monsters, and this Elder's Recess token I'm using to denote all of the expansion monsters. So if we were to do, for example, look at the Baroth quest here, we can choose which star quest we wish. If we're starting our campaign, we'd start with the assigned quest for Baroth. So I'll just turn my camera to show you what happens when I click Start Quest. He will be placed out on the board along with any terrain nodes. He will have his Monster Physiology card brought down over here, his starting behavior deck, and the time card deck will be set up as according to the quest instructions. So over here you can see for our assigned quest we start with a time card deck of 35 time cards. And so that has been done for us and it's been shuffled, ready to go. And here you can reference the setup, and you can make sure that our automated setup matches. These denote where your hunters can start when the hunting phase begins. You might also notice that the board itself has 4 different states to it for the 4 different sides of the 2 boards you get in the physical game. So we can choose a board that we wish to use to play against our chosen monster. So I'll choose the Wildspire Waste area to fight against this Baroth. Seems reasonable enough. Now we can get to the gathering phase portion of the quest. So you can start here and you can go through this little choose your own adventure section leading up to the actual hunt. I won't go through a whole demonstration of that here, but I will make a couple pointers along the way. Here we have our potion tokens and our carts for fainting. So if it instructs you to gather a potion, you can go ahead and bring that over somewhere that the group can see. So as I use up the potion, I can easily change the state and denote that I've drunk a potion. And if you ever need to add a red time card to the deck, so over here we have the deck of red time cards, so you can always pull a full deck of red cards out of this, and you can right click and hit search, and search for any red time card you need. Let's say the quest instructed you to grab the Baroth Slayer card. I can simply start typing that, and there it is. So now I can easily add that to my time card deck. Over here we have the bag of track tokens. So as you go through this quest, you can pull out track tokens as you need to, which will be revealed later on at the end of the quest. You see what behavior card you will shuffle into this deck. So if this one ends up with us shuffling in Skull Crush, we can simply take that, add it to the deck, and shuffle it up, and we're ready to go. A note about material tracking. As you go through the gathering phase portion of the quest, you will be awarded materials. Now, a lot of the common materials can be grabbed from the provision stockpiler up here. We have these bags of all the common materials in the game, as well as other random materials that you might find throughout various quests. Now, we do have a sheet over here for tracking resources. And talking with a few people who play this game, it seems common for groups to track resources as a group because you're able to freely trade resources amongst hunters. So sometimes it's easiest to just denote how many materials you have on one's consolidated group sheet. So as you gain materials from the quest, you can simply grab them and bring them over here. So that's easy enough. You can, if you have 2 hunters and they each grab a Macalite ore, you can just copy and paste, and they do stack. One other tip is if you select all materials and hold them together, you can hit 1 or 2 to kind of neatly arrange them so they'll nicely fit into their common area. We also have zones for tracking parts that you gather from specific monsters. And as part of the quest setup, since we're fighting against Baroth, you'll see these tokens that popped up as well. So these are the rewards you can get from carving Baroth. And these are some of the materials you can get through the gathering phase of this quest. So if we were able to start this quest now, make sure I have my full potion here. I might start my greatsword here, maybe my bow user over here. And we can kind of get started. So in this case, he would walk one space towards the nearest hunter. So he'd move this way and he would attack left and right. So fortunately, none of my hunters are hit on this attack. And we have this little tracker here just to help you maintain an idea of how many hunter turns you get to take before each monster card. So I would just manually put this up to 2, and then after any time someone takes a turn, they can knock this down. And then when you get back to 0, that's a nice reminder for you to know that it's time for the monster to act another time. And here you can use this counter to keep track of the monster's health. You're free to pull elemental damage or status effects out of any of these bags. You've got your full damage deck or elemental damage deck up here that you can draw from if you need to. We also have bags of break tokens, so you can add these up, and once you reach the threshold, you can delete that and bring out a broken token. Down at the bottom here, you'll see we have a nice player aid. This especially helps for the status ailments for monsters and hunters. You'll notice that we have 3 tokens here for the hunters because for stun and paralysis, those are kind of instant effects, so you do what they say and you're done. Whereas these other 3 status ailments either happen over time or take effect later. So if I'm poisoned, for example, I might drop that there. So when I reach the end of my turn, I'll remind myself, oh yes, I need to take 2 damage at the end of my turn. And you can go ahead and delete tokens when you don't need them because you can always pull more from the bag. If your hunter happens to fate from a particularly nasty monster attack, we have these 2 carts up here to help you keep track of your faints. So, you can go ahead and cart your hunter back to home base, and then he can hang onto that cart so you know that the purple person fainted once. And then the bow player can spawn back in next time he goes. At the end of the quest, let's say you've taken down the monster, get a nice flip on him. Now you can go ahead and unlock this sheet. You can delete any tokens that might be remaining on the physiology card. And you can flip this over, take a look at your rewards. So here we have the reward table for the Barroth. And for this quest, since it's a assigned quest for 2 hunters, we get to roll 3 carved dice each. So maybe this hunter rolls these 3 dice here, and this hunter rolls three dice over here. And now each hunter can take those numbers and reference the reward table and pull out the resources that they've won. So I'll just pull out a couple here as some examples and put them where they ought to go. So this is another Monster Bone Small. I'll go ahead and add it to that stack. And these I'll go ahead and plonk down in the Barroth area. And to clean up after a quest, you can simply bring your player minis back to home base. And over here by the quest campaign, you have this monster pedestal. And if you click on this, it will return the monster to its bag and clean up the whole game board. So you're ready to start another hunt. So after you've come back from a hunt, now it's time to craft some rewards. Down here, as I mentioned, you have your Forge reference sheets, and you have all of your craftable weapons in the bag here. You also have near the Forge armory stands with all of the armor pieces in the game. So over here we have the Ancient Forest armor, we have the Expansion armor, and we have a bag of Wildspire Waste armor. So I can right-click this, and I can see all the different armor that I can craft. So here's some Barroth helm, for example, or the Barroth chest. And each of these are a stack of 4, so you have 4 copies for the 4 hunters. And once you grab what you need, you can put the rest back and take this back with you. However, we also have a new auto crafting system that we've just introduced, and I will show you how that works. You may have noticed on the Forge sheet here that there are all these little buttons next to every weapon and every armor in the game. And so this is a way for you to automatically craft whatever you wish. So if I were to craft just, for example, the bone blade here, I could attempt to click the small plus button here, and it will say that I do not have enough materials to craft. I am missing a small monster bone. And what it's looking for, since I am the green player, it's looking for materials to be given to the Forge via my colored Forge chest. So this is the smithy board. And the way we've kind of designed this is you and your fellow hunters can take parts from the common group sheet. And this little area below each chest is kind of designed for people to kind of bring materials up together, and you can kind of compare and talk with each other. Say, hey, is it cool if I use this Monster Bone Small to craft something? And maybe the purple guy's like, yeah, go ahead and do that. I'm going to use these materials. And once you guys are all cool with crafting what you want, all you need to do is drop your tokens into the respective chest. And now that that's in there, I can come back to my forge sheet. And if I try to craft the bone blade, there it is. Green player is crafting the bone blade, and it has taken one monster bone small from the chest, and it has given me the bone blade. If for whatever reason I made a mistake or I didn't want to craft that and I wanted to return it, materials that are spent from your box do end up in this forge spent materials bin. So if you need to, you can go dumpster diving through this and you can take back whatever materials you need. But let's say I actually did want to craft that bone blade, so I'll keep that in the bin. And let's say, for example, the purple player wanted to craft the Barroth helm, which requires a ridge, a Barroth tail, a Barroth claw, and a fertile mud. Now, it was revealed that the Barroth tail is actually a mistake that should not be in the game. So we've adjusted our recipes for any official errata that we have heard about. So in this case, all we need is a Barroth ridge, a Barroth claw, and fertile mud. I can grab fertile mud from here, and I have a claw here. So a claw, a ridge, and a fertile mud, and I'll make sure I am the purple player. Now I can come down to my forge sheet, flip this over, go to the Wildspire Waste, and I should be able to craft the Barroth helm. There it goes. Uses all my resources and grants me the Barroth helm. So I can go ahead and swap this out on my player board. And this chest here that every player has is kind of your personal item box, so any previously crafted weapons or armor can be stored into this box. Now, one important thing I will mention about the crafting system here, and I have it highlighted in bold here, make sure to break stacks of materials into individual tokens before placing them in the chest above. For example, if I have a monster bone small, let's say this is actually a stack of 5 monster bone smalls. If I have this in the chest as a tire stack, it is going to treat it as one material. So if I craft something that only needs 1 monster bone small, it's going to spend that entire stack and give me what I've requested. So once again, if I realize that's a mistake, I can come back over here and grab that entire stack out, and maybe I just put the 1 that it's owed and take the 4 back. I do want to make note of that, so that's a pitfall that people can fall into. You also may have noticed this little section here called Forge for Free. This is a little checkbox that you can enable, and when I click it, it'll say Forge for Free is enabled. This will bypass any required costs to forge any weapons or armor. And as denoted here, this can be useful for arena quest setups, or if you really just want to pull out a copy of the card for reference. So now that that's enabled, I can come back over here and I can craft anything I want to. Got my Diablos Coil Bender, maybe I have some Diablos Armor, and now I can put those where I need to be. So if you're doing an arena quest, that is totally fine because the quest setups for the arena, as far as the monsters go, are identical to the quest setups you'd use for any standard traditional campaign quest. So if I'm fighting Diablos 4-star, I can just hit that, and that'll bring out Diablos and all his stuff, and I can refer to the quest book to get my arena setups and set my hunter up fairly efficiently to get ready for that quest. All right, that was a lot to go through in a little amount of time. I tried to speed through it as quick as possible, but feel free to let me know if you have any questions. We are still constantly updating this mod, so you might see some new features by the time you watch this video. And I wish you all the best hunts. Good luck.